Namaskar and good evening, viewers. It's 9 p.m. Time for the news on Sansad TV. I'm Rajiv Kumar Singh. First up, the headlines we are tracking this evening. 8 rebel groups signed tripartite peace agreement with Centre and Assam governments. Union Home Minister Shah calls it milestone for peace in Northeast. Prime Minister leaves for Uzbekistan to take part in SCO meeting, discussions to focus on business connectivity and regional cooperation. Election Commission orders special revision of photo electoral rolls in all parliamentary and assembly constituencies in J&K, claims and objections to be filed till 25th of October, publication of a final list on November 25th. Special aircraft reaches Namibia to bring 8 cheetahs to India. Prime Minister Modi to release cheetahs on September 17th at Kuno National Park in Madhya Pradesh. UN Secretary General holds talks with Russian President on Ukraine war. Discussions center on fertilizer export and Zaporizhzhia nuclear plant. A quick look now at some other speed news. Prime Minister Modi stresses innovation in green alternatives for automobile industry to ensure conservation of environment while making India self-reliant. Petroleum and Natural Gas Minister Hardeep Singh Puri asserts government taking all steps to make India energy independent by 2047. Sardar Sarovar Dam filled to its highest capacity for third time since 2019 and 2020. Water level reaches 138.68 meters. Vice President Jagdeep Dhankar calls upon IAS officers to work to improve citizen services while maintaining principle of anonymity. CUET UG results to be announced by 10 p.m. on Thursday. Met predicts heavy rainfall in Maharashtra, Gujarat, Madhya Pradesh, Uttar Pradesh and Uttarakhand for next few days. All backward states will get special status if non-BJP parties form government at the centre in 2024, says Bihar CM Nitish Kumar. Indian High Commission condemns vandalism and anti-India slogans at Swaminarayan Temple in Toronto, demands prompt action against culprits. Saudi Arabia emerges as the second biggest oil supplier to India, overtakes Russia. Iraq retains top spot. And tickets are sold out for India's match against arch rivals Pakistan at MCG in Melbourne in T20 World Cup 2022 on October 23rd. Now news in detail. The centre has signed an agreement with 8 tribal militant organizations based in Assam to bring lasting peace in the state. The tripartite agreement among the central and state governments and the 8 groups was signed in New Delhi in presence of the Union Home Minister Shah and Assam Chief Minister Himanta Biswa Sarma. The militant groups include All Adivasi National Liberation Army, Adivasi Cobra Militant of Assam, Birsa Commando Force, Santhal Tiger Force and Adivasi People's Army. The groups are in ceasefire since 2012 and living in designated camps. Except for the hardline faction of the band Ulfa, led by Paresh Barua, and the Kamtapur Liberation Organization, all other rebel groups have entered into peace agreements with the government.
एक बड़ा मील का पत्थर हम पार कर कर आगे बढ़ रहे हैं। असम के आदिवासी समूह के लगभग 1100 के आसपास जवान हथियार छोड़कर मेन स्ट्रीम में आ रहे हैं। नॉर्थ ईस्ट को शांत और समृद्ध बनाने की वो प्रक्रिया का महत्वपूर्ण पड़ाव है। गृह मंत्रालय ने पूरे नॉर्थ ईस्ट को शांत और समृद्ध बनाने के लिए उत्तर पूर्व की अद्भुत संस्कृति का संवर्धन और विकास करने का फैसला लिया है।
Prime Minister Narendra Modi has embarked on a visit to Samarkand in Uzbekistan to attend the summit of Shanghai Cooperation Organization. In his statement ahead of the departure, Prime Minister Modi said he looked forward to exchanging views on topical, regional and international issues. He said issues like the expansion of SCO and further deepening of multifaceted and mutually beneficial cooperation within the SCO will also be discussed. A number of decisions for mutual cooperation are likely to be adopted in areas of trade, economy, culture and tourism during the summit. Foreign Secretary Vinay Quatra said that the focus would be on cooperation in trade and economy and on jointly tackling challenges like terrorism.
We expect that the discussions during the summit would cover topical, regional and international issues, reform and expansion of SCO, the security situation in the region, our cooperation perspective in the region, including strengthening connectivity, as well as boosting trade and tourism in the region. Samarkand Declaration and numerous other documents are expected to be finalized during the summit.
Quatra said that the Prime Minister will also hold bilateral meetings with the President of Uzbekistan and some other leaders on the sidelines of the summit. The member states of the SCO are Russia, China, India, Pakistan, the Kyrgyz Republic, Kazakhstan, Tajikistan and Uzbekistan.
With the President of Uzbekistan and some other leaders on the sidelines of the summit. PM's participation in this summit is a reflection of the importance that India attaches to the SCO and its goals.
The Election Commission has ordered a special revision of photo electoral rolls in all parliamentary and assembly constituencies of Jammu and Kashmir. The public notice has been issued by the Office of the Chief Electoral Officer of Jammu and Kashmir. With integrated draft electoral roll being published today, claims and objections can be filed until 25th of October. Special campaigns have been scheduled on 24th September and 1st, 2nd, 15th and 16th of October. Disposal of claims and objections will be held on 10th of November, after which the final electoral roll will be published on 25th of November. The draft photo electoral rolls 2022 will be available at district headquarters, Tehsil offices, offices of Srinagar and Jammu Municipal Corporation, booth-level offices and the website of the Chief Electoral Officer, ceojk.nic.in. A specially customized B747 jumbo jet arrived in the Namibian capital, Windhoek, to bring 8 cheetahs to India's Kuno National Park in Madhya Pradesh. 5 female and 3 male cheetahs will be brought to Jaipur in Rajasthan in the cargo aircraft as part of the Intercontinental Translocation project. The aircraft has been modified to allow cages to be secured in the main cabin but will still allow vets to have full access to them. Painted with the image of a tiger, the aircraft is an ultra-long-range jet which can fly directly from Namibia to India. The cheetahs will have to spend their entire air transit period empty stomach so as to avoid nausea-like feelings in animals during the journey. From Jaipur, they will be flown to Kuno National Park in Madhya Pradesh in helicopters. Prime Minister Narendra Modi will release these cheetahs into the national park on his birthday on 17th of September. The cheetah was declared extinct in the country in 1952. In the 1970s, the Indian government made efforts to reintroduce the species in its historical ranges in the country. This led to the signing of a pact with Namibia to launch the cheetah reintroduction program. President Draupadi Murmu on Thursday said climate change and sustainable development are issues of prime importance today. She said this while addressing the faculty and course members of the 62nd National Defence College course at the Rashtrapati Bhavan. President Murmu stressed the need to prepare ourselves for not just the traditional threats, but even the unseen ones. She emphasized on a multidiscipline and multidimensional approach to deal with threats like COVID pandemic. She expressed happiness that India as a nation is taking strides to become Atmanirbhar. She also termed the introduction of a first indigenously built aircraft carrier Vikrant in the Indian Navy as a proud moment.
India as a nation is taking strides to become an Atmanirbhar Bharat. Various policies initiatives are being implemented to make this vision possible. It is this vision which brings India on the path of development and progress.
Now let us take a look at more news from across the nation. Road Transports and Highway Minister Nitin Gadkari addressed Insight 2022 International Conference on Sustainable and Innovative Finance in New Delhi. He stressed the need to use alternative fuels like electric, ethanol, methanol, bio-CNG and green hydrogen by discouraging the use of diesel and petrol. Law and Justice Minister Kiren Rijiju has written to Chief Justices of all High Courts urging them to expedite the process of setting up fast-track courts and special courts in the respective states to hear cases related to heinous crimes against women, children and the elderly. The CBI conducted searches at 6 locations in Delhi and Kolkata at the premises of a software company in connection with the West Bengal School Service Commission scam. Records were allegedly manipulated to favor candidates in the appointment of teachers that brought the role of the company under scanner. India-Bhutan border gates at Samdrup, Jhongsa and Gelefu along the Assam frontier will reopen for tourists on September 23rd for the first time since the COVID-19 outbreak. A Bhutanese delegation held a meeting with Bodoland Territorial Council officials in Kokrajhar and announced that the gates will be reopened after a 2.5-year hiatus. In the midst of the ongoing political turmoil in Jharkhand, Chief Minister Hemant Soren met the Governor Ramesh Bais on Thursday, urging him to dispel the confusion regarding the Election Commission's advice and demanding a copy of the EC opinion on the Office of a Prophet case against him. Time now for a break in the bulletin. On the other side, ceasefire between Armenia and Azerbaijan holds after 2 days of fighting that killed 155 soldiers from both sides.
वन्य प्रजातियों का विलुप्त होना हमारे जीवन के लिए एक बड़े खतरे का संकेत है।
जो भी इंटेलिजेंट स्पीसीज होती हैं आइडेंटिफाई करते हैं कि कौन से फैक्टर हैं जो उनके सर्वाइवल के लिए बहुत ज़रूरी हैं, कौन से फैक्टर हैं जो उनके सर्वाइवल को अफेक्ट कर रही हैं।
We are actually encroaching into the habitats of wild animals. When you are doing that, you are destructing their habitats.
हम लोग कम्युनिटी रिजर्व बना सकते हैं जो उनकी इंपॉर्टेंस बताए, जैसे टर्टल हमारी नदियाँ साफ करते हैं।
जो जनजातियाँ किसी भी इस तरह के इकोसिस्टम के आसपास विचरण करती हैं, रहती हैं, उनका इन्वॉल्व होना बहुत ज़रूरी है।
वाइल्ड लाइफ जो ट्रेड है, जो इंटरनेशनल मार्केट है, इसको तभी रोका जा सकता है जब सारे नेशंस मिलके काम करें।
The SCO is now the largest regional organization in the world.
The Shanghai Cooperation Organization, itself is drawing a major attention, not only from the regional countries, but there is a global attention to it.
What value does India bring to the SCO, and what is the SCO's value for India?
Focus of its activities is Central Asia, and the Central Asian republics want to have an India there which can try to help them in safeguarding their own interests.
Welcome back to the news. It's a time for updates from the Russia-Ukraine war front. UN Secretary General Antonio Guterres said he spoke to Russian President Vladimir Putin on telephone about exporting Russian fertilizer through Ukraine's Black Sea ports. He said that they also discussed security at Europe's largest nuclear plant and prisoners of war. He lamented that the prospects of a peace in Ukraine are minimal at present. He said the call to Putin was a follow-up to his meeting with Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky in Lviv on August 18th. European Commission President Ursula von der Leyen arrived in Kiev on Thursday and was greeted by Ukraine's Europe Minister Olha Stefanishina. She is scheduled to have a meeting with Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky. The meeting would focus on uniting Ukraine and Europe with an aim of progressing the country's accession to the European Union. On Wednesday, Ursula von der Leyen announced that the bloc will provide 100 million euros to build up schools destroyed during the invasion. Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky said on Thursday that the northeastern Kharkiv region had been almost entirely retaken from Russian troops. He said that almost 400 settlements had been recaptured since Kiev launched a counteroffensive in the area last week. Ukrainian president visited Izium days after it was recaptured from Russian forces. He took part in a ceremony when Ukrainian flag was raised outside the city hall. He also met the troops in the retaken city that has seen large-scale devastation. Russia targeted the largest city in central Ukraine, Kryvyi Rih, on Wednesday. It fired 8 cruise missiles at a reservoir close to Zelensky's birthplace, causing the Inglets River to break through a dam, flooding the surrounding area. Ukrainian President Zelensky said the strikes had no military value, but hundreds of thousands of civilians depend on it daily. Ukrainian officials blew up 2 portions of the dam on the Inglets River to help the river flow. No civilian casualties were recorded in the attack. Vladimir Putin seems to believe he did not commit a mistake by launching an invasion of Ukraine. German Chancellor Olaf Scholz said on Wednesday. He said that this after a 90-minute-long telephone call with the Russian president. He added that there was no indication that new attitudes are emerging. During his phone call, Scholz urged Putin to seek a diplomatic solution. He said that the exit of Russian troops from Ukraine was the only way for peace to have a chance in the region. Here are today's global updates. Sweden's Social Democratic Prime Minister Magdalena Andersson on Thursday handed in her resignation after a right-wing bloc that includes a nationalist anti-immigration party won a narrow majority in Sweden's parliament. Andersson will continue in a caretaking capacity until a new government is formed.
Sweden's Social Democrat Prime Minister Magdalena Andersson accepted defeat on Wednesday after a close-fought election, handing the 4-party right-wing opposition bloc victory and first go at forming a new government. A handful of votes remained to be counted, but Andersson, who became Sweden's first woman Prime Minister last year, said the results showed the right bloc had won. She said in Parliament, they have 1 or 2 seat advantage, adding that it is a thin majority but still a majority. Andersson asked the Speaker of Parliament to relieve her of her duties as Prime Minister. Ulf Kristersson, leader of the Moderate Party, is the right's candidate to be the Prime Minister. The Moderates, Sweden Democrats, Christian Democrats and Liberals had held a 1-seat lead after Sunday's election, but looked like getting 176 seats in the 349-seat parliament to the centre-left's 173 seats, according to figures from the Election Authority. The result still has to be officially confirmed, probably by the weekend. The election marks a watershed in Swedish politics, with the anti-immigration Sweden Democrats shunned by all the major parties when they first entered parliament in 2010 on the threshold of gaining influence over government policy. Andersson said she understood that many Swedes were worried a party with roots in the white supremacist fringe was now the country's second biggest party. The Sweden Democrats look set to win 20.6% of the vote, overtaking the moderates, who got 19.1% as the biggest party on the right. Sweden, in the midst of cost of living crisis, could be heading for recession next year. Bureau Report, Sansad TV.
A ceasefire between Armenia and Azerbaijan held on Thursday after 2 days of fighting that killed 155 soldiers from both the sides. Armenia said the truce was brokered by international mediation. It took effect at 8 p.m. on Wednesday. A previous ceasefire that Russia brokered Tuesday had failed. Here are the details.
Armenia's defense ministry said on Thursday that the situation on the border with Azerbaijan was quiet and no ceasefire violations were reported. There was no immediate comment from the Azerbaijan government. The ceasefire declaration followed 2 days of heavy fighting that marked the largest outbreak of hostilities between the two long-time adversaries in nearly 2 years. Armenia and Azerbaijan traded blame for the shelling. Armenian authorities accused Azerbaijan of unprovoked aggression, while Azerbaijani officials said that their country was responding to Armenian attacks. Armenian Prime Minister Nikol Pashinyan said on Wednesday that 105 of his country's soldiers had been killed since fighting erupted early Tuesday. Azerbaijan claimed that it lost 50 soldiers. The former Soviet countries have been locked in a decades-old conflict over Nagorno-Karabakh. This was a part of Azerbaijan but has been under the control of ethnic Armenian forces backed by Armenia since the separatist war there ended in 1994. In a 6-week war in 2020, Azerbaijan reclaimed broad swaths of Nagorno-Karabakh and adjacent territories held by Armenian forces. More than 6,700 people died in the fighting that ended with a Russia-brokered peace agreement. Moscow deployed about 2,000 troops to the region to serve as peacekeepers under the deal. Pashinyan said the Armenian government has asked Russia for military support amid the latest fighting under a friendship treaty between the two countries. He added that we don't see military intervention as the only possibility because there are also political and diplomatic options. Bureau Report, Sansad TV.
The European Commission on Wednesday unveiled proposals to curb the energy price spike that has rocked Europe in the wake of Russia's invasion of Ukraine. Here are the details.
Energy prices and inflation have surged across the 27-nation European Union as Moscow slashed gas supplies in response to sanctions, prompting some to argue that the sanctions were hitting the EU more and should be softened. European Commission Chief von der Leyen has proposed help European households and companies include imposing cuts in electricity usage across the bloc, said the bloc was working to protect those who need it the most. She proposed measures to cap revenues from low-cost electricity generators and force fossil fuel firms to share the profits they make from soaring energy prices. Von der Leyen said Europe had diversified from Russian energy, but Moscow was still actively manipulating the market and gas prices have risen by more than 10 times compared to before the COVID-19 pandemic. Bureau Report, Sansad TV.
Next time for the World Brief. G7 trade ministers met outside Berlin on Thursday when German host and Vice-Chancellor Trade Minister Robert Habeck with his counterparts was expected to discuss the economic impact on the group following Russia's invasion of Ukraine. Habeck said Ukraine needs $350 billion for reconstruction. Scores of Palestinians attended the funeral of a 17-year-old teen who was shot dead by the Israeli army during clashes in the occupied West Bank city of Jenin on Thursday. Violence in the West Bank has surged in recent months as Israel has intensified raids following a spate of lethal Palestinian street attacks in its cities. Iran's 2015 nuclear deal with world powers is in the ER room and is unlikely to be renewed soon, if at all, Israeli Defense Minister Benny Gantz said on Thursday, after European leaders voiced doubt about Tehran's willingness to revive the pact. Israel, Iran's arch foe, supported the US withdrawal from the accord in 2018 under then-President Donald Trump, who deemed it too limited. Pakistan's Prime Minister Shehbaz Sharif presented a bleak picture of the country's dwindling economy, regretting that even friendly countries have started looking at Pakistan as one that was always begging for money. Sharif said even small economies have surpassed Pakistan and the country has been wandering after the past 75 years carrying a begging ball. According to Sharif, Pakistan's economy was facing a challenging situation even before the floods. He said Pakistan was on the verge of economic default. Major US railroads and unions secured a tentative deal after 20 hours of intense talks brokered by the Biden administration to avert a rail shutdown that could have hit food and fuel supplies across the country and beyond. US President Joe Biden called it a win for tens of thousands of rail workers who worked tirelessly through the pandemic to ensure that America's families got deliveries that kept the nation going during these difficult years. A look at today's sports stories. Tennis legend Roger Federer, the first men's players to win 20 Grand Slam titles, has announced his decision to retire from the sport after Lever Cup 2022. Federer informed of his decision with a post on his Twitter handle. Vinesh Phogat became the first Indian woman wrestler to win 2 medals at the World Championships as she claims a bronze in 53 kg by defeating Emma Jonna Malmgren of Sweden. She had won bronze in 2019 too. Defending champions India produced a clinical performance to retain their SAF Under-17 championship title as they crushed a 10-man Nepal 4-0 in the final at Colombo. Erling Haaland scored an acrobatic late winner against his old club Borussia Dortmund in Manchester City's 2-1 win in the Champions League. Latest strikes from Fede Valverde and Marco Asensio helped Real Madrid beat RB Leipzig 2-0 in the Champions League. It threatened to be a frustrating night for the 14-time winners until Valverde provided the breakthrough in the 80th minute. Former Pakistan umpire Asad Rauf has died, aged 66, after suffering a cardiac arrest in Lahore. Rauf officiated in 64 tests, 139 ODIs and 28 T20Is and was one of Pakistan's leading umpires in the mid-2000s. That's all in today's The News. Keep watching Sansad TV for latest updates. Good night.
Indu Murugan.